I don't know how many of you in the chat or in the comment section listening to the playback have ever watched the show House of Cards that comes on Netflix. Probably one of the best shows that I have ever watched in my life. Even with all the issues that the main star had. But of course, we didn't know that at the time when the show was on, and it wasn't until the last season, or what would end up becoming the last season, did we learn about who he really was. And that would be Kevin Spacey. But if you've ever watched the show, you know that his character, Frank or Francis Underwood, they call him Frank for short sometimes, was a very corrupt, and I do mean diabolically corrupt individual. Like, it was one scene in episode 1 of season 2, and I'm sorry if this is a spoiler alert for those who have never watched the show, but it was a part where, in order to keep someone quiet about him and the stuff that he was involved with, as well as his wife, because his wife was no better, he dressed in like a disguise, because, you know, him being in the position that he was, because I don't think he was the president yet, he basically dressed in a disguise, followed the person who was about to expose him down into the metro, and stepped off to the side so the camera wouldn't see them, and pushed this person into an oncoming train. So basically, it almost looks like the person leaped off the ledge and killed themselves, when they actually really didn't. But the way he set it up, because he knew where the cameras were, was like very maniacal at best. And I remember watching that for the first time, and I could not believe it. Like, that made my jaw drop. But he's becoming more and more like his character every day, with the exception of what I just said. But I'm just talking about, the parallels is uncanny about how almost similar in some ways that they are. Like I said, if you have never watched the show, go watch it, despite all that stuff going on with him, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But the reason why we're talking about Kevin Spacey today is because he made this comment in which he gave an explanation as to why he decided to come out. As we all know, Kevin Spacey is a member of the Academy. And he basically has come out and said that the reason why he came out and said what his sexuality was is because when he was younger, he was scared to do it because apparently his father was a neo-Nazi and a white supremacist. And, you know, he was fearful of that because that wouldn't have been tolerated in his home. Now, number one, I did not know his dad was that way, if that is even true. I don't know if his dad is still living for him to even confirm or deny that. I think that would be messed up if he really wasn't, and he decided to just use that as a cover for why he did what he did. But, you know, it is what it is. But people are calling Kevin out, and I got to call him out too. We're sitting here saying, no, Kevin, that is not the reason why you decided to come out and announce your sexuality to the world. If y'all don't remember, let me give you a refresher. Kevin Spacey decided to say what his sexuality was. And the thing is, it was rumors for years in the industry about his sexuality, but he never confirmed or denied anything. Like, he never said if he was, if he wasn't. But really, at the end of the day, it's really no one's business unless they decide to put their business out there. But he decided to come out at the same time as these allegations about him doing some perverted things came up about him. And then that's when he decided that he was going to say, by the way, I'm this, or this is my sexuality. And we was like, wait a minute. Huh? And I remember when that happened, and a lot of people who were in the Academy at that time had gave Kevin Spacey so much pushback because they said, wait a minute, what you're not going to do is basically be exposed as this perverted individual and then hide behind you being this way with your sexuality to try to give yourself a cover and try to use the Academy as a cover to cover your own ass and your own perversions. I remember when that happened. So a lot of people are side-eyeing this new revelation as to why he's given this explanation as to why he is the way that he is, and saying that his father was this, or a neo-Nazi or a white supremacist, and that's why he had to hide behind, you know, living in the closet or living on the DL, which a lot of people are like, no, Kevin, we're not buying it. But I'm going to go ahead and read from Variety what they said as it pertains to this. It says Kevin Spacey said that he struggled to come out publicly as gay because of his father's racist, homophobic, and anti-Semitic views. My father was a white supremacist and a neo-Nazi. Spacey said of his father, Thomas Fowler, I have never talked about these things publicly ever. He added, I grew up in a very complicated family dynamic. The admission came on the witness stand in New York City on Monday, where Spacey is facing off against Anthony Rapp in a $40 million civil lawsuit. Rapp claims Spacey made unwanted sexual advances against him in 1986 when Rapp was 14 years old. In his own testimony, Rapp has accused Spacey of being a fraud for not being openly gay. To call someone a fraud is to say someone is living a lie, Spacey said. I wasn't living a lie. I was just reluctant to talk about my personal life. Growing up, Spacey said his family moved around a lot because his father was frequently unemployed. He said he was terrified as a child and was forced to listen to his father's racist and bigoted lectures, which prevented him from bringing friends to the house. He said he told his father that he wanted to be an actor. He was told, don't be an F word. I won't say it here because it's derogatory, Spacey said. I certainly had a degree of shame. He said he was inspired to become a performer because he loved making his mother, Kathleen, laugh and because she instilled a love of movies in her son. Spacey was one of Hollywood's most acclaimed actors, winning Oscars for his work in The Usual Suspects and American Beauty, starring in the Netflix series House of Cards, like I mentioned earlier. But after Rapp accused the star of sexual assault in 2017, BuzzFeed article, and other accusers made similar allegations against Spacey, his career imploded. On the witness stand, Spacey walked jurors through his early days as an actor, trying to make it professionally, taking them through roles in regional theater and his initial success as a member of Jack Lemmon-led revival of Long's Day Journey into Night. I was broke, Spacey said of that time period. I had no future. Spacey's legal team scored a major victory before the actor ever took the stand. Judge Lewis A. Kaplan dismissed emotional distress charges against Spacey, who now only faces battery charges. I'm not looking to duplicate damages, Kaplan said. So that's the entire thing right there. And like I stated before, and like many people, and I looked through some of the comments and I agree, Kevin Spacey, we don't agree that the reason why you decided to come out or wait was because of your father's views, which of course we did not know of until now. Isn't it's crazy how he's making these revelations now to try to give himself even more cover? Now, like I said, I don't know if his father is alive or deceased to defend himself against such claims, but I think that's very interesting, and it's almost making me wonder, is there another family member out there, if the father is dead, to confirm or deny his claims? But let's be real here, Kevin Spacey. You did not publicly come out in the lifestyle that you live in your sexuality because of your father. You did that to give yourself cover because of those allegations that were laid before you a couple years ago. Because the thing is, if that was the case, why didn't you come out years prior? You know, especially at the height of the rumors that were surrounding you. Like, you could have did that then, but you waited until these allegations came out and then you said something. Like I said, the Academy was very pissed off with Kevin Spacey, because I remember reading some of the comments. They was mad as hell with him when he did that, because they said, because they already get a bad rap anyway when they say that there's a lot of perversions and perverts and sexual assaulters and abusers in that community. For such a big actor as Kevin Spacey, especially at that time, to try to use that as a cover or a scapegoat to shield or to try to distance himself from what he was being accused of, or try to use it as a reasoning as to why he did what he did. So I can understand why they were upset. Like, you're not just gonna out of the blue just come out and say, oh, by the way, I'm this, to try to shield yourself from something much more sinister, which is sexual abuse or sexual assault allegation. Like, that's wild to me. But then to invoke this now is like, okay, now I think now we're starting to see a little game here. We're starting to see what you're trying to do, and we're not sure if that's actually going to work. But then again, it could work in his favor. You never know. Again, it's Operation Protect the White Boy. It doesn't even matter if they are the lowest of the low or the highest of the high or somewhere in between. If they have that PC skin and they are an XY chromosome carrier, shoot, even an XX chromosome carrier, they're going to get some level of protection. But if you are high up on the totem pole, especially financially and status wise, you're going to get an extra padded layer of protection. And Kevin Spacey, as far as I know, is getting exactly that right now. Another thing I wanted to know is why mention this now when at the time when you decided to come out, even with everything that was surrounding you going on, why didn't you also mention about your dad at that time? I mean, if this is true what you say, if this is true what he says about his dad, then that means it was going on. It's something that stemmed all the way back to his childhood, which of course we know Kevin Spacey has been far removed from being a child for many, many years. He could have easily come out and said, oh, by the way, you know, with him being in the academy, he could say, oh, the reasoning is because my dad was a neo-Nazi. He was a white supremacist, and that wasn't accepted in our home or in our family. So it was hard for me to truly express myself and who I am. So I had to hide myself behind this and behind that. But he never said any of that at that time when he first came out to the world publicly as, you know, being a gay man. He never mentioned any of that, but then he brings it up now. So that's making even more people really kind of side eye this new revelation that he's come out with. It definitely makes me side eye it. And I'm sure it makes you side eye it as well.